Okay, now I believe we're live where we should be. Let's see. Are we live? Are we live? There we go. Okay. Hello, party people. Welcome to Mindset Monday. So last week we had a request to discuss priming the brain. I see you. I see you too. We had a request for the topic of priming the brain. This topic got brought up for those of you that haven't seen last week's call. Definitely recommend watching it, but it got brought up around discussing about how we can really get in the zone, get in that flow state, get the momentum going. And when I say momentum, I mean energetic momentum of like we're starting to pack a snowball. So we want the snowball to start to pick up the snow on its own without us having to continuously pick up the snow and pack it in, pick up the snow and pack it in. So this week, I want to help you guys get to the ball rolling on its own, right? And there's so much discussion around the brain when it comes to mindset work, around thinking differently, around having just like our morning routines. We write affirmations and we're reading things, and it's all very cerebral. It's all very in the head. It's all very upper energy centers, right? Our upper energy centers are up in our headspace, up in our mind. Okay. So I'm going to address that today. So hello to everyone joining live. Feel free to say, hey. My voice is still a little raspy. We were dealing with a sleep regression with Maverick. Mostly I was dealing with a sleep regression with Maverick, but we're on the upside of it. So things are doing better. And we're here. Yes. Thanks for being here. I'm so happy that you guys are here. So this week, discussing priming the brain, discussing getting you into that space of I'm ready to get some shit done, right? Like I'm feeling good. I'm feeling motivated. I'm feeling focused. Now it's time to start taking that action. Now it's time to where like my thoughts are focused. My thoughts are dialed in. My thoughts are positive. My thoughts are in alignment with my end goal. Okay. And the thing is that I don't want you guys to focus on your thoughts at all. So in order to change your thoughts, in order to change them for good, in order to prime your brain for success, to get into that flow state that so many of us hear about and so many of us we've probably experienced from time to time, the flow state is simply, it's just when time flies, right? Time flies when you're having fun, because when you're having fun, you're in that flow state. You're allowing the energy to flow. That's all it means. You're allowing the energy to flow. You're allowing yourself to be a receiver of this. It's like, I want to explain this in a way that you can understand if you're not really in the energetic space as much as I am. You want to be in a space to receive as much energy, as much alignment as possible. That's all the flow state is like you feel so good about what you're doing that you're literally lost in it. But wisdom keeps dropping in, motivation keeps coming in, and it's just, you feel so inspired and you feel high on life, right? We've all been there, whether it's been when you're in sixth grade on the playground, or maybe you had a fresh idea and you just sat down and before you knew it, it was 3 hours later, or you're on a date and the conversation is going and before you know it, you're closing down the restaurant. We've all experienced it from one time or the next. So how do we grab that and bring it in when we want want it, like on demand, because that's essentially what we want to do here, right? We want to get to that space where we can enter those nice energetic vortexes of feeling so good about what we're doing, of feeling like we are in the right headspace. Like we feel really good about what it is that we're outputting and it feels easy. That's the things we want to hit the easy button. This has been a thing between Zach and myself, is like, how can we hit the easy button on this? Because we're both really great at complicating things and great about taking things to that next level of just over, like, we will take things to the next level of not necessarily a struggle to where it's like, oh my gosh, this feels so hard, but just to where it's harder than it needs to be. And I think a lot of us are guilty of that. So Zach and I have been asking, okay, what is pressing the easy button here? Not taking the easy way out, but pressing the easy button on how this can get done, pressing the easy button on how we can move forward in this, still in alignment with our goals. We're not, because like the easy way out would be like just not doing it, right? Well, I'm still going to do it, but if I press the easy button, what would that look like for me right now? Okay. And that's kind of how the flow state feels. It's just pressing the easy button, allowing yourself to receive the most energy with the least amount of effort. And so many of us, when we think about priming the brain or getting into this space of getting our thoughts on board and getting our mindset right, we see a lot about like, well, you have to have your affirmations, and we want to write our gratitude, and we want to journal, and we want to do this and do that, and it's very cerebral, it's very much in the head. And what is not discussed, which is what I'm going to introduce here, is that priming the brain is less about the actual brain. It's less about the mind. The brain is an end organ. It's more about the body. We need to prime the body in order to prime the brain. And if you caught any of last week's call, then you'll see that when it comes to taking action and it comes to getting in that space of feeling really good and building that energetic momentum, that there are little action sequences that we can do in order to prime ourselves. Nowhere in there did I say, like, think this, read that, say this, because all of that, again, it's cerebral, it's upper energy centers. We want to focus our efforts with the body because the brain responds to the body. And this might be a way that you guys haven't heard this before, but it's a way that I teach all of my clients. If we want to change our thoughts, the energy of the thoughts live in the body. So unless we are addressing the energy within the body, the thought patterns are still going to be there. And it's going to feel like we're swimming upstream against our own thoughts because we're not actually calming the current. We're just switching from a raft to a kayak. Right? We might have more tools, stronger tools. So instead of a raft and our hands as paddles, we have a kayak and an oar, but we're still swimming upstream against our thoughts. When in reality, if we can shift, we want to shift to swimming downstream and allowing that flow to work with us. That's working with the body. That's clearing the thought energy. Where? Oh, okay. That's clearing the energy of the thought, because the thought is the energy of the thought. We think it in our mind. So therefore we think, okay, this is in my head, it's in my brain, it's in my mind. So that's obviously where the issue is. Wrong. This is where the issue is presenting itself. The issue is in the body. Like I said, the brain is an end organ. So the issue is in the body. So we want to address it in the body. And that's how we go from paddling upstream against the current of our thoughts to paddling downstream, less effort, more ease. We're hitting that easy button. So in order to prime the brain, we have to prime the body. So I'm going to give you guys a couple tips on how to prime the body today. If you have any questions, as always, please let me know. Any comments, please feel free to comment throughout the live or if you're watching the replay. Okay, I'm going to take a sip of water real quick. All right. So the first thing that I want to address is that when it comes to our thoughts, when it comes to wanting to shift our mindset to a more helpful, supportive state of mind, we have to recognize what is the emotion behind the thought that we're even thinking. So a lot of us will think thoughts. A lot of us will have, we think upwards of 80,000 thoughts a day. So a lot of us are having these thoughts, but most of them are just on autopilot, so much so that we don't actually take time to think about the thoughts that we're thinking. But when it comes down to it, what you can do is you can ask the overall state of my thoughts. What is the emotional state of my thoughts when it comes to this thing that I am working towards? So when I'm thinking about my work, when I'm thinking about doing this task, when I'm thinking about reaching out to this person, this potential buyer or this seller, when I'm thinking about partnering with this, when I'm thinking about moving into the next level, when I'm thinking about reaching out to that potential date, when I'm thinking about going to the gym, what are my overall thoughts around this issue? And then instead of changing those thoughts and just hammering away at the thoughts, instead of just hammering away at the end result, we want to get to the root cause. We're going to ask ourselves, what is the emotion behind these thoughts? So this is a way that you can prime your bodies. What is the emotion behind these thoughts? So we ask ourselves this question because it brings to light the emotion or the emotional state that we've grown accustomed to feeling, to operating in. Because the reason that we want anything, the reason that we do anything is because we think that we're going to feel a certain way when we get that thing. So however we think about that thing, the thoughts that we have surrounding the actions that we need to take in order to get that thing, there's an emotion tied to them. So what is that emotion? This is called the feeling thought. What is that emotion? What is the feeling that thought brings within you? So think about this. And from there, then ask, okay, so for an example, I'm just going to give a fitness example because beginning of the year, right? So people are getting back into their fitness journey. They want to go to the gym, but maybe you feel intimidated when you think about going to the gym, or you feel overwhelmed because you don't know exactly what to do when you get there, or you feel discouraged because of how long it's been since you've been to the gym, or you might feel embarrassed because maybe you just don't really know what you're doing, or you just might feel like disappointed in yourself for even letting yourself get to where you're at and then having to go to the gym, right? Or you might feel really freaking excited when you think about the gym. But if you feel whatever it is that you're feeling, pay attention to that, because then we have to address that emotion in order to prime our body. So when we address that emotion, we can ask these questions. So obviously, I'm not going to type these in. If someone wants to take note of these, please feel free, but you can come back and see them. But these are some questions that you can ask yourself. When I think this thought and I feel this emotion, where in my body am I feeling it? Where in my body am I feeling this emotion? Pay attention. That is where the energy of the thought actually resides within you. Okay? The energy of the thought resides someplace in your body. It's usually in the chest or the throat or the stomach. It could be other areas. So we want to address that. So when you feel that emotion, where is it living within you? Like when we think, I love this person, we don't feel I love them in my head. We feel I love them in my heart. I feel I love them in the butterflies in my stomach. I feel I love them in the throbbing of your pelvis. You feel you love them throughout your body. You don't feel it in your head, because our thought is an end result of an emotion. So when we think about this, when we think about the thought and we have this feeling, what is the feeling? Where is it in your body? From there, if your body was ready to express this energy, how would it want to be expressed? This is if you're having a block come up. If you're having a block, you're having a hard time getting motivated, you're having a hard time getting your foot out the door, you're having a hard time sitting down and just figuring things out. You can't get that momentum going. You have so much going on. You're so distracted. There's a lot of stuff moving around. Then ask yourself this next question of, if my body was ready to express this energy, how would it want to be expressed? From here, you might, depending on how connected or disconnected you are from your body, you might get an urge to do something. You might feel like, oh, I just feel like I need to yell. I feel like I need to cry. I feel like I need to do some shaking. I feel like I need to jump up and down. Maybe I need to go for a walk. I need to change my environment. Maybe I just need to talk to someone. That energy wants to be moved, and it has to be moved through the body. We can't think energy out of our body. This is why affirmations work, but affirmations only work once you've cleared the energy first. So we can't prime the brain by reading a bunch of affirmations. It might be a band-aid for a deeper issue, and it might work for a few minutes or for 20 minutes or that time. But we actually want to get you guys to the point where you don't need to constantly be doing the same thing over and over and over again, but it becomes second nature. It's like, okay, I'm a motivated person at this point. I don't need to sit down and re-motivate myself every single time I sit down at my desk. I don't need to give myself a pep talk every single time I go to walk out the door. I want this to be on autopilot. This is how we get there. This is how we get to that flow state of being on that autopilot, is we recognize what emotion our thoughts are attached to in our body. Our body is probably somewhat addicted to feeling that emotion because we've been thinking these thoughts for so long. So we ask, where am I feeling it? And how does it want to be expressed? And then from there, we express it. We let ourselves do what we need to do. This is why so many people talk about morning routines of like physical activity in the morning, cold plunge in the morning, or saunas are becoming really popular now, or doing yoga in the morning, or doing some type of movement, or incorporating the body in some type of way. This is why, because we move energy through the body. And when we release energy through the body, the end result is a new thought. It's a new thought because the brain is a reactive organ. It's not a proactive organ. It's reacting to the cues that it's receiving from the body. So in order to prime the brain, we have to prime the body. Make sense? So once you have let yourself express, and when I say express energy, when you ask yourself, okay, like I'm feeling some tension in my chest, sometimes you're not going to know what the emotion is, and that's totally fine. You're just going to know like, wow, I'm having some really anxious thoughts about this, or wow, like I cannot get focused. That's totally fine. From there, just recognize, how do you feel in your body and where are you feeling it? Typically, we feel a lot of it in the chest. So from when you're feeling it in your chest and you just like feel like you're about to explode, or you feel like you don't know what to do, that's fight or flight energy. You're in a stress response. So we want to clear that out. So how do you want to clear it? If your body could express itself, how would it want to express itself? So this is where you might just do some jumping jacks. Shake it out. Literally play a song, turn it up really loud, and just shake it out. And honestly, the weirder this looks, probably the better, because the body works in a different way than the mind. The mind thinks, how do I look when I do this? Does this make sense? Do I look cool? Would someone think that I'm a weirdo for doing this? I'm judging myself, right? The body doesn't care about any of that. The body is like, this, the more exaggerated this movement, the more energy I'm moving, the better I'm going to feel at the end of this. So the less you're actually thinking about it, the less your mind is involved. Therefore, the more you're addressing that core root energy. So then we're actually moving some good stuff. So yeah, shake it out, like shake your legs out, shake your arms out, roll your shoulders back, like move your head around, do some jumping jacks, play a song really loud and dance your ass off to a song to get yourself going in the morning. This is why at Tony Robbins events, he has everyone like do the hands up and down really intensely or clap really intensely with really loud music, because sound helps us move energy as well, sound frequencies. But what we want to do is we want to just incorporate these different techniques to help our body move the energy. And then once that energy is moved, notice how you feel. So this can be as little as 30 seconds. It can last 5 minutes. It can be 10 minutes. It does not have to be long. And I argue that the quicker that you just do this and you just don't think about it, you just jump into it. It's like the cold plunge. Don't think about it, just do it. Because the reason we don't think about it, we just do it, is because we have to bypass the conscious mind. We have to bypass the conscious mind because the conscious mind is the ego, and that's what's trying to protect us. And if we can bypass the conscious mind, we reach what? The subconscious. We're getting, if you've ever seen that infograph of the tip of the iceberg and then the top of the water and then underneath the water, it's like all the subconscious mind. That's the meat. That's what we want to address. And the subconscious mind is the body. So we can't think about it. We just have to do. And the faster that you can just get into doing and get into moving that energy and just letting it out, and just letting yourself go and just doing whatever feels good or whatever just feels like, yeah, I'm just going to keep rolling with it for 30 seconds, a minute, 5 minutes, whatever it is, the better. So if your body could express that energy, how would it want to do it? Let yourself do it. Okay. And then after we've cleared that energy, so now that we've cleared it, check in with yourself. This is just a good practice to just always incorporate checking in with yourself throughout the day. How am I feeling right now? How am I feeling in my chest? How am I feeling in my gut? How am I feeling in my throat? Just something to help you keep on track with yourself. And then notice how you're feeling. And from there, if you feel lighter, you feel a shift, you might notice the energy moved. You might notice that, well, it was in my chest, but now it's in my throat. Or I was feeling it very intensely in my throat, but now there's like something still there kind of, but it's definitely not as intense. Now we can start to get things going. Okay. You're not going to clear it all the very first time that you do this, or the second or the third. So don't be like, oh crap, there's still stuff there, I have to go back and do this all over again. No, you don't. But it happens in layers. So I just want to address that it happens in layers. So just be aware of where it's at, and then you can come back and do this. And this is where a routine would come into play, of just priming your body in order to prime the brain. So that routine would be some type of just quick movement, or quick movement pattern, quick change of environment, quick something that you don't think about, you just do in order to move energy. And then from there, that's when we want to have our affirmations. That's when we want to have our little cues in our office of, okay, looking at our to-do list, looking at, okay, what needs to get done next, or what's on today's agenda. Because this is now, we've cleared all that sticky, funky, heavier energy. So now our brain is like, all right, I'm an empty vortex. What can you fill me with? Now we want to fill ourselves with all the goodies. Now is when we want to take in the affirmations. We want to look at our to-do list with a higher vibrational state. We want to make those calls. We want to reach out to those people. We want to get ourselves feeling good, right? So now is when you would say, okay, what's like a feel good task that I can do to get myself in this higher vibrating energy? Because you've just cleared out the lower vibrating energy. You've cleared out the density in your body. So now we want to fill that in because it's a vortex. It will get filled in regardless. But if we're intentional about what we're filling it with, this is how we begin to prime ourselves day in and day out to literally become the version of us that's already achieved our goals. So our goals are now attracted to us. We're no longer chasing them. Right? Zach's really good at this. I'm always telling him how he's like such a powerful manifestor. He's such a powerful attractor because he's just really good at it. So what you want to do, what you want to do is have that list. So have that list of like, now's when you would read your affirmations. Now is when you would get clear on what you're doing today. Now is when you would do something, maybe you have a quote that you like to read. Now is when you would shift into that higher vibrating energetic state. We want to fill that empty space. And after you filled that empty space with something that feels good, now's when you want to like accomplish something small, right? So that's what we talked about last week is like starting with something small. So maybe it's taking a sip of water. Maybe it's checking an email real quick. Maybe it's responding to that person that you didn't get to yesterday. And then from there, you're proving to yourself, okay, I've achieved this. So now I'm going to lean into that resistance because I'm in a high vibrational state. And now I'm going to do the thing. I'm going to eat the frog, what we talked about last week. I'm going to eat the frog. So now I'm going to take a bite and I'm going to go, I'm going to go all in on what I want to do next and lean into that resistance. And this is when we want to start chipping away at the things that are going to move the bar forward. So we want to start chipping away at whatever it is that we might feel a little bit of resistance to, but we've built some energetic momentum behind us. So now is the time to take that action. And this is so powerful because when we wake up and we're thinking thoughts that might not be helpful, or maybe we're just having an off day, or we get into our office and we're just totally just like, I don't really know what to do right now. We don't want to let ourselves live there. We don't want to ignore it, but we don't want to let ourselves live there. But we have to understand that one, the brain's an end organ, so we have to address it in the body. There's dense energy in the body. That's how we feel it. We feel the constriction. We feel the tightening. We feel the heaviness. We feel the density. We can actually feel it in our body. So when we move it out, we move energy. We can clear energy in one of three ways, and movement is one of them. Okay. So when we move it out, then we are allowing ourselves to actually rid our body of that energy. So then we refill it with higher vibrating energy. That's when we want to read our affirmations. We want to accomplish something small. And now we're already trending in a positive direction. We are literally priming our energy to work for us, no longer against us. So instead of paddling upward, we've turned our kayak around, and now we can just kind of chill and allow ourselves to move downstream. We no longer have to fight the current, right? Now, the first few times that you do this, it is going to take some more conscious effort than if you consistently keep up with it and it starts to become a habit. That's any new habit that you're forming. And when it comes to energy, when it comes to emotions, when it comes to thinking and changing our thoughts, at first, we're very good at staying in energetic. When I say energetic spaces, I mean emotional and thinking patterns. We're very good at staying in emotional patterns and thinking patterns that we're used to. And so to shift out of it, it's uncomfortable and it's actually a stressor on the body, which is why we don't want to overcomplicate it. I'm not going to give you guys 1,000 things to do, but I am going to give you like these few steps to start practicing and implementing as soon as possible. And some people may hear the simplicity of this and think, yeah, okay, whatever. Like I should be waking up at 5 a.m. and reading 10 pages and taking a 5-minute ice bath and going for a half-hour walk and then jumping into the sauna and then doing an hour and a half workout and writing all my great gratitude stuff. And my morning routine needs to be taking me at least 90 minutes. Otherwise, I'm really not on the path to anything. Like, it's just not the case. And if that is for you, rock on, but it doesn't have to be the case. We want to hit the easy button here. So these 4 steps should take you, I mean, it could take you as little as 5 minutes. It can take you as much as 20 or 30. It's whatever feels good for you, but make it easy on yourself and just show yourself that you can do it. Show yourself that you can get it done and notice how you feel. That's the biggest thing. We want to bring our awareness back. Once we've cleared that energy and once we've allowed ourselves to remove some of that density, we want to bring our awareness back to notice like, wow, I do feel a little bit lighter. I do feel a little bit better. I do feel a little more motivated. I do feel a little less stressed. I do feel a little bit more calm. And we want to remind ourselves it's safe to feel this way. And you do that by then sitting your butt in your chair or getting your butt out the door if you're still going to the gym, but sitting your butt in your chair and then asking yourself while you're in this higher elevated state. So this is after the last step. While you're in this higher elevated state, then we ask ourselves, all right, what can I get done right now? What's an easy check off my list? What's leaning into that resistance a little bit? I'm not looking for an easy out. I'm looking for an easier way to do the thing that I know is going to move the needle forward. We don't need to make it harder on ourselves, although a lot of us are really good at that. But how can I make this easier? One's by shifting my energy. Done. Already good to go. 2, it's just by sitting down and then like now that you're clear-headed, now that your energy is open, now we can look at that and then start taking action forward, right? If I were to lean into this resistance, if I were to take action from here, what would be my next step? So I just want you guys to think about that this week. So try to implement these steps this week. When it comes to priming the brain, we always want to start with the body because priming the brain only works if the body is on board. So we have to address the body because the energy that is presented in the brain lives in the body. So we want to address that first. So I would love for you guys to introduce this this week. And as you do, as always, feel free to keep us updated in the group. And next week, we're going to talk about how to kind of tie up loose ends and leaky energy and how to use your energy in order to help continuing build that momentum. Because now if you're someone who you sit down at your desk and you're like, oh my gosh, I have this to do, 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 I have this to do. I've been putting this off. I've been putting that off. I've been procrastinating this. This next call will be for you. But doing what we talked about today will prime you for next week. Okay. So what we've been on here for 34 minutes. So this call will be short and sweet this week. And as always, leave any comments or questions and we will be back to address them if so. And if you have anything else that you would like to talk about, then please let me know. And I hope that you guys have a wonderful week and that you enjoyed this week's Mindset Monday call. And we will see you next Monday, same time, 5:30 p.m. Eastern time. And until then, have a great time. Have a great time in the group and throughout your week. Bye.